Hey guys, it is great to be here again with you on this Sunday. As we continue our exploration of Revelation, the book of Revelation, we now come to the second of the seven letters, the letter to the church in Smyrna, which is found in Revelation 2, verses 8 through 11. And this letter is addressed to a church situated in a wealthy and culturally prominent city. Okay, Smyrna was a place of grandeur, but for its Christian community, it was also a place of hardship. Persecution sort of loomed heavily over the believers, yet in this letter, Christ offers no rebuke, only words of encouragement. He calls them to persevere, to remain faithful, even when suffering and death sort of press upon them. So let's read Revelation chapter 2, verses 8 through 11. My computer shut down on me. It's updating, so I'm going to read it off my phone. Chapter 2, verses 8 through 11. And to the angel of the church in Smyrna write, the words of the first and the last who died and came to life. I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich, and the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not fear for what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison that you may be tested, and for 10 days you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who conquers will not be hurt by the second death. This message sort of resonates not just with Smyrna, but with us today. These words remind us that our ultimate hope is not rooted in the absence of trials, but in the steadfastness of our faith in Christ, the one who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. Christ begins by addressing the church with an assurance of his eternal authority. He says, the words of the first and the last. Okay, these are not empty titles. The phrase, the first and the last, sort of harkens back to Isaiah's depiction of God, emphasizing his sovereignty over all time and history. And furthermore, Jesus declares himself as the one who died and came to life, which is a reminder of his victory over death. So, for a church facing martyrdom, these words carry profound weight. The risen Christ, triumphant over the grave, is not only their example, but their source of unshakable hope. He continues, he says, I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich. And the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are what? A synagogue of Satan. Christ's awareness of their tribulation is deeply comforting. It's deeply comforting. In Smyrna, many Christians likely faced economic hardship due to their refusal to engage in emperor worship, a refusal that would have cut them off from all social and financial networks. Yet Christ says, but you are rich. So their spiritual wealth, their faith, and their eternal inheritance far outweighed any material poverty they endured. He also acknowledges the slander they face, likely from those who claimed religious authority but acted in opposition to God's purposes. Christ identifies these adversaries as, remember, a synagogue of Satan, highlighting the spiritual reality behind their opposition. So then comes the heart of the letter. Okay. the heart of the letter, the call to courage and faithfulness. Jesus warns, do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested, and for 10 days, you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Notice the balance here, okay? Christ doesn't promise an escape from suffering, but gives a perspective that redeems it, right? The tribulation will last for 10 days. A symbolic phrase that conveys a limited, God-ordained period. While the suffering will be real, okay, it is temporary and under divine control. Okay, the exhortation to be faithful unto death is not merely about surviving. It's about unwavering allegiance to Christ, even when that allegiance may cost everything. The reward for this faithfulness is the crown of life, the crown of life, a symbol of eternal victory and unbroken fellowship with God. The promise serves as a beacon of hope for Smyrna and for us, reminding us that every sacrifice in this life is more than compensated by the glory that awaits in the next. Christ concludes the letter with a promise for the overcomer. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who conquers will not be hurt by the second death. Here, the second death refers to eternal separation from God. Okay? Something believers in Christ will never experience. Physical death may come, yes, but it holds no lasting power over those who belong to Jesus. This assurance transforms the fear of death into the courage to live faithfully. Okay? This letter to Smyrna, this letter is rich with theological insight. It reminds us that Christ's victory over death anchors our hope. His own death and resurrection assure us that suffering and death have been defeated. It reframes persecution as a test of faith, a refining fire proving the genuineness of our trust in Him. Christ's statement, "But you are rich," reinforces the truth that true wealth is found in Him, far beyond material possessions, and the promise of eternal security highlights the finality of His work. The second death holds no sway over us. We are forever His, forever. So what does this mean for us today? It calls us to trust in Christ's sovereignty over life and death. You know, are we resting in His power over history and eternity? You know, it urges us to prepare to stand firm in trials, whether they come as external persecution or internal struggles. How is your faith being tested? And are you committed to remaining faithful? It's also a reminder to rejoice in our spiritual riches. While material wealth can vanish, our riches in Christ are unshakable. Unshakable. How often do we reflect on the ways God has made us spiritually rich? How often do we do that? And it pushes us to fix our eyes on the crown of life. The hope of eternal glory should shape the way we live, right? Influencing our daily choices and priorities. And finally, this letter encourages us to take courage in Christ's victory. The assurance of triumph over the second death. That assurance over the second death empowers us to face even the greatest challenges with boldness and with peace. The letter to Smyrna is a message of profound encouragement, and it speaks directly to all who endure suffering and trials, reminding us that Christ, the one who died and came to life, is with us and has secured our ultimate victory. And he calls us to persevere, holding fast to the promise of the crown of life as we reflect on these words. Let's take heart, okay? Our tribulations are temporary. Our riches in Christ are eternal, and our destiny is absolutely secure in him. Guys, we have the hope that Christ is victorious now, right now. He reigns now. Yes, we wait for a future kingdom, but he reigns now. I love you guys. I will see you in a few days, Lord willing, with the next installment as we continue through our series on the book of Revelation and talk about the next letter to the 7 churches. So for now, God bless you, and Lord willing, see you soon. Take care. Bye.